Please allow me to show you a knife from my knife collection. A knife that I have never used. Most of my knives, I use them. But this one, not yet. Doesn't mean I won't. I probably will. In a sense, I'm using it right now, but not for cutting things. So, that's an excellent sheath retention. We like that. This is a Kamil Dlugosz. He's a Polish maker. I don't recall what the steel is, but I'm certain it's a modern steel. A good steel. Micarta handles. Full tang. Probably a little skeletonized. Very nice knife. Now, the reason why I pulled this knife was because I got a comment on my last video. It was telling me there was a comment only in the video, not in my notifications. But if I went to the video, it said comments, one comment. Then I open and it says no comments. Well, this is one of these YouTube bugbear stories, right? But yeah, I was able to access the comment by clicking on newest first. Or clicking on newest, right? So that's a trick for anyone who doesn't yet know that, which a lot of people do. You click on newest and you'll be able to see comments that are otherwise hidden. Not always, but sometimes it works. And it worked for me, and so I got the comment. And the comment was from Son of Colossus, and he was suggesting that I look into this word. He said it's a term for a German knife. JAGDNICKER. So I looked it up, and I found out pretty quickly that Puma has a model named the JAGDNICKER, and it's a very nice looking knife, I dare say. However, I couldn't turn up that much more until I came upon this article. It's a blog by a guy named Fimbulmyrk, right? And in 2017, he wrote this blog. And I'd like to just read some select excerpts from this blog that he wrote. It's you can find knives with a very similar outline and concept as early as the Roman Empire and throughout the medieval ages, presumably developed from both utility knives from the medieval ages as well as the Lange Messer, Grosse Messer, and the Bornewehr. For the most part, a JAGDNICKER, if seen as genuine, is seen as genuine if it has the following properties. Overall length, 15 to 25 centimeters. Integral bolster, the Kropf. Usually single-edged with a somewhat triangular blade shape. Newer versions sometimes also have recurved cutting edges or a more ennep or kopis edged line. Handle material often is stag antler, although there's also some cow, buffalo, or ram's horn, bone, and wood around. The integral bolster, for the most part, has a fuller... The tang can either be a short rat-tail tang or a full tang. Both are historical. If the tang is a rat-tail, there is often a richly decorated ferrule from either nickel, silver, sometimes bronze, or pewter. I'm skipping over a lot of stuff here. Now, the term JAGDNICKER refers to a hunting technique when the knife is used to stab an animal into the neck to sever the nerves running from the brain through the spine to kill it immediately. The vertebra directly under the skull base in German hunting jargon is called a nicker, from the word nicken, to nod. The process is called abnicken. The prefix ab refers to a terminating action, in this case. The technique was always employed to ease an animal's pain, and in hunting folklore accompanied by the word halali, which derives from Arabic halal, lawful, permissive. See also the term helal as an attribute for food. In hunting folklore in Germany, this was connotated into may he rest in peace. And psychologically speaking, served as a legitimation for the killing of the prey. But this was far more than barely a lame excuse. There seems always to have been a more esoteric kind of folklore surviving in German hunting culture, where the hunter was identified with the prey. And so the call halali also had to do with the wish to legitimate the own death in the death of the prey. So I found that all very interesting, and I thought of this knife because, it's made in Poland. That is close to Germany. Now, it doesn't have a lot of the attributes described. However, of any of the knives that I own, if I had to go and do a bit of JAGDNICKER, I guess this is the one I would choose because of this blade shape. Seems ideal for that, as well as a host of other tasks. So you could also easily consider this a utility, an EDC, do anything knife. Eat your steak, open your mail. So, he continues. I'm skipping over again. I highly recommend you go and read the whole thing because he has wonderful photos, anecdotes, all kinds of stuff. But I'm sticking to a couple of principles here. Now, keeping in mind the hunter's call halali and its Arabian roots, I want to point out as a byline that there is a stunning similarity between the Persian card and the German JAGDNICKER. Russian and Persian knife and sword culture, there seems to be a context in the Achaemenid culture of Iran in the context of the Paradise Gardens, where hunts were staged. It is therefore relatively safe to state that in medieval courts in Europe, they were influenced by these concepts in their staged hunts, since the Oriental influence on high medieval culture in Europe was very strong. Of course, that does not necessarily mean that the JAGDNICKER was directly derived from the Persian card, and also a similarity by functionality might be possible, but it is highly probable. Well, form follows function, right? Anywhere in the world, with any animal that you could be hunting with a knife, if you want to dispatch that animal in the quickest and most compassionate way towards the animal, there's probably going to be one way in, right? And that's it. But my question, did they figure it out independently? I think they could easily have done, right? Figured out the method of slaughter and the ideal implement for performing the task. But yes, I also agree that a connection is highly probable. Now, what the writer is suggesting is that this was an influence on the German people from the Persian people, right? Now, let me just drop a word here. Aryan, yeah? You know where the word Iran comes from? So why did it have to be one culture influencing another culture? Why couldn't it have been the same culture at one point? And, then they became geographically divided. But, any Germans who aren't sufficiently clammed up about their reality will tell you that in principle the German people were an Aryan people, right? And the Iranians will tell you the same thing. And so also will the Brahmin caste in India. Yeah, they're Aryan, and you can check it all out with DNA testing. So, this just kind of got me fascinated. That all of these knife designs that we have today, they all have such a history and antecedents in general. Unless it's something wacky that has no practical use, and there's a lot of that too. Like people trying to break the mold. But if you want something functional, all right, form follows function and all that. So let's just read a little more from this dude. Fimbulmyrk. This post can be, by its very nature, just a teaser. The topic is vast and incorporates more knife types and regional variants, of course, and I plan to do some more work on it. As a conclusion, I want to say that I obviously love this style of knife. Obviously, this is because I grew up with it. but also for practical and cultural reasons. The knife has a lot of lessons to teach and questions to answer, while it also asks a lot more questions. It is a challenge and a treasure at the same time, and it is an important part of German culture. This is something I want to emphasize. German culture and tradition is something that is either held up by right-wing assholes or put down by superficial left-wing madmen. But if you stick to the mere facts, something that cannot be overrated in times of our everyday factocalypse, he says. In 2017, he said that. If you stick to the mere facts, it has a lot of things to offer. German culture is rich, and it is rewarding to hold it up and live some of its traditions in a modern way. It has absorbed a lot of cultural influences and integrated them into its own context. What makes me proud to be German, if that phrase be allowed, stands out in stark contrast to what those right-wing hate preachers state. To me, German culture is that rich because it was always open for new things while remaining true to itself. I am proud that Germany welcomes refugees. That does not mean I am blind toward the fact that it is a difficult situation. There are a lot of fears involved, but the difficulties of the situation are not to be solved by hate-mongering. If there is a large enough group of people, there is an ever-growing chance that you will find an increasing number of assholes among them. If anyone I had welcomed as a guest in my own home does not behave according to manners generally consented upon, the least thing I would do is give him a kicking out of my flat. If anyone acts as an asshole towards me, I will return the same coin. Of course, anyone would do. But the culprit is, if your personality is strong enough, you can cope with foreign influences and take what they have to offer as your own, while dismissing what you do not want. You just need a firm ground on which to operate, namely a strong cultural identity and, another problem, a solid material background. But without a true cultural identity, no solid material background would be possible. Enter the JAGDNICKER. There are books on pukkos, cards, bowie knives, kukris, ulus, and whatnot. The only book on German knife culture I could find was a booklet, more of a brochure of some 35 pages and arguably written with a bit of political bias. People simply do not know, and yet I have the opinion that there is a lesson waiting to be learned. And if you do not know yourself, how can you possibly develop strength in your personality? A strong personality is capable of coping with arguments in a non-violent way. A strong personality is able to discuss criticism. But where is a strong and healthy personality in the German psyche? What would we lose if we accepted our hunting traditions were originally influenced by Persian customs? A book written on German knives would gain quite a lot of pages and become a more interesting read if one would dare to analyze the roots in that. Thanks for listening.